My nemesis is at it again. Dave Chappelle brought Elon Musk onto stage at the Chase Center, and the crowd booed him.
That's what happens when you've had a few stolen memes on Twitter and you suddenly think you can do 5 minutes of stand-up comedy. It's exactly the problem with getting laughs on Twitter.
Ladies and gentlemen, make some noise for the richest man in the world.
Have you ever bombed so bad at stand-up comedy you become not the richest man in the world? I feel like that's what happened here. Maybe his income didn't go down, but his psychic income went down. This has been a bad week, actually, for rich guys and their psychic income. They suddenly, you can have all the money in the world, but if people are laughing at you, booing you, and saying you're cringe, it's not going to matter. You can be shitting gold bricks, and it will not matter. That's what they want, is adulation and love.
Yeah, those boos went on for a long time, too.
What did he think? He's in San Francisco. He just laid off. Like, everyone there probably had a friend who lost their job in the past month.
They all worked there.
Chappelle was saying that, and then he was saying the only people who are booing you are in the poor seats, which even in the poor seats at a Chappelle show, it's expensive, by the way. And I love that Chappelle has become like some bootlicker for the frickin' 0.01%, but he's rich.
Yeah. He's been rich for a long time now.
He's been rich for a long time. You lose touch with the plebs when you're rich for a long time and you start giving very bad advice. It's like when you bomb so bad, you think you own the libs. He was trying to say, oh, it's just all those radical leftists in the audience. Like, no radical leftists are going to a Dave Chappelle show. You are so out of touch with the culture war. If you didn't just step into it like a year ago, you would already know this. I feel like he's catching up to the culture war because he's been busy like building rockets and electric cars and trying to save the world. And then for some reason he got like hooked into the culture war. And now it's starting to make him mentally ill. Like it's already made us mentally ill, but he's like a couple years behind.
But he's also just received so much attention and adulation.
But it's been usually good.
Yeah, he got hooked on that feeling.
And we're already inoculated we've got our immunization to the mental illness from like being on Twitter too much and being online too much. But Twitter is its own thing in particular. And it's just funny. Elon's getting motion sickness while we're riding the roller coaster with our hands in the air with the freaking on fire, like chairs on fire. We're like, woo! We've been on this. Elon's like, what's going on?
I drink in your booze.
Radical leftists at the Chappelle show. He had a tweet that was saying like 90% of the people were cheering and 10% were booing or something like that. It's still, that's 10%, 10% still a lot of people in
that
a stadium.
Was not 90% cheering, 10% booing either. That was like 10% cheering, 90% booing.
When did simping for billionaires become cool? There's so many people. I'm sure there are people in the comments right now just like, we love Elon. It's so gross watching. Like, Elon's a genius. I'll give him that. You're a genius, buddy. Because he knows that responding to these plebs is driving engagement. And I think he's, as we mentioned, getting high on his own supply. Not good. But he's rich enough that he can weather this and powerful enough. But anyone who comes into his orbit or he even replies to gets this kind of shine from his engagement with them. But guys, Elon stands. People who get responses are like 100, like he does this thing like 100%, or he does the bullseye all the time. Getting that from Elon is not a personality. I know you think it is, but it's not. And I'm embarrassed for all of you. My husband and I constantly talk about it because we're like, we have to understand. We see this through Gen X. We're just so grossed out by like any kind of cult of celebrity, and the worship of Elon is so nauseating. It's just so talk about cringe. I'm cringing for all of you who are out there like, yeah, Elon, you show him. It's so embarrassing.
I know.
And he's like, someone in the writer's room last night was saying it's like, this is like the guy who drives up with his Corvette in the 80s movie, and everyone hates this person, but this is the person everyone's simping for. And I'm like, he's like Troy from the Goonies. You're never going to be a Goonie, Elon. Okay? It's our time down here. Our time.
It's our time down here. That's all over the second we ride up Troy's bucket.
You're not a pleb. Stop trying to pretend you are. Then there's like all this drama with him lately, just with everybody, because he banned all these journalists. I would not call them journalists. And it's funny. I definitely feel like Schadenfreude looking at all these people who have been calling for everyone who disagrees with them to get banned, getting banned. I think it's hilarious. I wouldn't really call many of them journalists. I call them journalists because they're activists who pretend to be journalists, except there is like a weird gray area because you want him to be all for free speech. And he said, I'm so for free speech, I won't ban the Elon Jet. But then the Elon Jet was kind of doxing him in real time, which I have a real problem with. And especially when you're messing with someone's family and their kids. Like anyone doxing anyone and letting them know about their real-time location for malicious purposes, that shouldn't be allowed. I don't care who you are, even if you're a freaking blue-check journalist.
So it started with the account of this kid who...
Well, he banned Elon. He banned the account of this kid who was like tracking his jet.
Private jet, yeah.
And he first banned Elon Jet, then unbanned it, then banned it again because he was doxing. There's allegedly like he's made it so that you can't, even though the flight information is public, his jet is now private. And so this kid wrote a program to get around this and was posting his information. And then someone showed up and like jumped on the hood of the car, thinking it was him with his kid in it. And yeah. I'd go fucking Mama Bear too.
Yeah.
And I don't know though if it was even connected to the jet.
Right.
So,
but it's still someone's trying to find you.
Yeah, terrifying. And so then he banned all these journalists who were sharing the Elon Jet account, even after he said that this is a suspendable offense because they think they're above everything and fuck them. And so he did ban them, and it was hilarious, like Aaron Rupar and all these nerds. And then people came out. People were like, hey, I thought this seems like the new regime is behaving a lot like the old regime, which I think is a stretch when you really look at the newest Twitter files, like from Matt Taibbi and the government coordinating. And by the way, the government is against the people. It doesn't matter what side you're on this. That's just a whole thing we'll cover when we get back from the break because I need time to digest it. But it's messed up. So I'm not sure that that's an exact comparison that you can make. But I understand trying to say, like, you can't just make one rule because of a personal thing that's going to apply to like 350 to 400 million people without being clear about the policies. Look, there's a lot here, people. It's ridiculous, though, because then Twitter is like high school. There was so much drama yesterday, and everybody was just eating popcorn watching Elon, and then he was going after Barry, and I was trying to explain this to Maggie. I'm like, and then Elon said, and then like Barry said, and then Elon said, and I'm like, this. I fucking feel like I'm in high school.
And this other person weighed in, and then...
And this other person said, and then Elon unfollowed Barry. Like it's
all very high
they're
school.
both going to release a poll. Do you still like me? Yes or no? They're fighting in a sandbox that none of us are allowed to play in anyways, by the way. It's still just a bunch of plebs watching all the elites like talk amongst themselves. We really do need Celebrity Deathmatch to come back. That's really the point of this entire segment.
That's the lesson here. Yeah.